Look at you. Rosenberg, you're dressed like Daddy. Hi, Topher Brophy.
Hi.
Hi. Tama and Tena here, co-presidents of Houston Pet Set. We're so happy to see you today. Who are the little guys in the background?
These are llamas that I keep close to me, as many animals as possible to kind of help maintain the innocence internally versus, the external factors, which are often hard to swallow in the world.
You're so right. I was just reading something. I'm just going to jump into this. Eckhart Tolle was talking about animals and why we're so connected to them. And he believes that they're very connected to source, whether your source is God, higher power, whatever it might be, the nature. And he just said we gravitate to them because we're all creatures who really want to be close to that source, to that goodness, to truth and love. And so I'm so with you, and Tena is too. We've always loved every animal and tried to be around every single one we could. We tried to rescue cows and calves and squirrels and any little goats, yeah, horses, any little
I just want to say,
four-legged creature.
You two are so wonderful, and the things that you do for dogs and for animals and your organization, the time and dedication that you give is just so heartwarming. I'm so honored that you contacted me and wanted to have me on the podcast. So I'm touched, and I just want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you. Let's start there. How Jill was the one, our precious Jill Archibald was the one that introduced us to you, correct, Tama? Well, we were made very aware of you a few years ago by a woman who was writing a book, and she was in Houston, and we struck up a wonderful conversation in a jewelry shop where she was there because she was the author of the book, and she mentioned you, and she said, you have to meet my wonderful, wonderful friend. So we've known about you, but never really known how we could connect. And then when the podcast came up, I said, Jill, what about Topher? And she, of course, got in touch with you, and we had a small conversation, but it felt like a conversation that could go on for decades because we were so aligned in how we feel about animals and what they mean to us. And so that's what the podcast is here today to talk about, is really what your journey has been with Rosenberg and what it has meant to you.
Well, what's so special is that there's so many of us, billions of us, that feel this way, that the animal companions in our lives really are our North Stars, really are our connections to a higher calling, a higher power. We can all have any kind of other beliefs and religions and philosophies that do not conflict, that all, as far as I'm concerned, come from the same place. And that really is to connect with others, to connect with humanity, to connect with love, which is the driving, strongest, most contagious force in the universe. And that also is intertwined with innocence. And innocence is something that, just through my life experience, something that we all are born with, and then we all, to some degree, we lose as we go through our tribulations of realities, which can be harsh, as situations can be difficult in our lives. I think part of that has to do with the fact that we're born with these instincts, and then we also have our rationality and our reason. And with that, we understand our mortality. And those things kind of come into conflict as we go out and understand the realities of the world and of life. And as a result, I think that's a big source of why, as Homo sapiens, we have emotional struggles. We have mood issues. We have huge ups and huge downs that can be entirely taxing and sometimes really get the best of us in a dangerous way. And I'm somebody that, like everybody, it's not a unique story. I'm not a unique person, but I've just had some emotional struggles and lived a majority of my life, I would say, dysthymic, which is generally numb and
Mm.
non-understanding of my feelings and emotions. And
Mhm.
it's a baseline where I really just wasn't in touch with myself and my feelings.
Mhm.
I,
Yeah.
I thought I was, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
And something was wrong. And over time it got worse.
Yeah.
It got much worse. And I think one of the hardest things is seeing everyone else live and have this perspective and this range of emotions. And I always wanted to be someone that I wasn't, but I knew something was off, but I couldn't understand it because that was my baseline. That was my normality.
Mhm.
And then at a certain point, it got so bad, it became from a dysthymic to a much darker emotional hole. And through that, I was really at my worst. I really just had some really dark days.
Mhm.
And I got some treatments through some therapy. And in addition to that, I started to understand what was wrong with me through therapy and just through kind of a lot of reading and taking time off of life. And part of what I realized is that I wasn't doing anything for anyone else. And I was just focusing on myself and what I thought were my problems and my deficiencies, and that I wasn't the person I wanted to be. And as a result, I realized that I hadn't been doing things for anybody else or taking care of anybody else. And in a way, I was quite selfish. And I'm going to use the word narcissistic because
Mhm.
I was only thinking about my own issues, my own problems. It was me, 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 me. And I
Mhm.
didn't even have a plant that I was taking care of in my life. I didn't even have a succulent, which are very easy
Oh.
to take care of, by the way. I mean,
Succulents are the relatives of cats, I think, sometimes. That is so funny. So
living in Texas, you know a lot more than me about succulents. But the therapist I was with kind of talked about my childhood, and part of that was my best friend growing up, and we all have had tough childhoods, no matter what. I mean, it's difficult growing up in the world through, as I mentioned, our instincts and our reason, and nature can be cruel as well as beautiful and amazing. But I had a cat that really saved me through my worst adolescent pains,
mm.
and he was always there. He was kind of like a cat dog, and Rosenberg's like a dog cat, and I'll get into that
Yeah.
later. But my cat really was an epitome of innocence, of beauty, companionship, and really made me happy during my hardest times that I had. My therapist said, you love animals. You keep talking about them. Maybe you should become an animal parent.
Mhm.
And I said, you know what? That's a novel idea, but I can't even take care of myself. I'm having such a hard time. And he said, give it time.
Yeah.
And I took his advice, and I started to feel a little bit better focusing on myself. And then I became a dog dad for the first time with Rosenberg.
Oh.
And through that, through focusing on him and only him, as I rebuilt myself and dedicating my time, my energy to his happiness, to his exercise, to his eating right, to his social life, I was able to understand that it made me so happy, and it was the portal to the meaning in my life that I always
Mhm.
struggled to not couldn't understand, but it was caring for other people other than myself
Yeah.
and doing all I could to do to help others and to help others lift up through the animal companionship that helped me. And that was the portal to many other things that I've learned. It's also how I became this animal parent on social media, which is how you found me.
I think you said in one of your interviews that in showing companion or compassion to Rosenberg and being able to love him and have feelings for him, it opened it up for you to have those feelings for other people too, and not just people close to you, but just for humanity. I think was the words you used.
And he really extracted my humanity that I always had, but I didn't quite understand. It was the portal to empathy,
Mhm. Yeah,
which
it's a
is
good
what I
way to
was
put it.
lacking for myself and for
Yeah.
others.
Yeah. It's
And
hard
it,
to
it,
have it
it
for others when you don't have it for yourself, and it's hard to have it for
uh,
yourself when you don't have it for others. It's a pervasive, um,
exactly, it's a catch 22
yeah,
cycle.
yeah.
And one of the things, a lot of people that are going through a hard time, we see them and they're often kind of cold or shut off, or they don't say hi or smile. And it's very easy to say that that's an unfriendly person or an angry person, or somebody who's rude. But the truth is, they're probably going through something,
Yeah,
as I was.
yeah.
And everybody has the potential to be opened up and to crack into the humanity of themselves. But we have to give them patience. That's when they need the most amount of
Yeah.
understanding, not the least. And it's kind of counterintuitive, but as somebody that has been that way, I see others, and I just want to encourage others to have patience for people that seem closed
Mhm.
off. That's when they need help.
Mhm.
Well, and our pets do that so well. They just do it instinctually. They can tell when we're not at our best, when we're down. They don't run away when we're sad or we're angry. They come in closer. And so I feel like my dogs, my pets have taught me a lot about how to interact in my personal relationships. My dog is happy if my husband comes home at 5, 6, 7, or 8. He doesn't care. He's just glad to see him. It doesn't matter to him. I'm like, that's the way that it should
Yeah.
be. Should be happy to see people no matter what,
Mhm.
and just to open your hearts, and it's a lack of judgment.
Yeah.
And backing up a little bit, you were talking about the difference between people and animals. I think the ego is important too. That we recognize that man has ego. Women have ego. But the animals don't. They don't care what they look like. They don't care.
Except Rosenberg.
Except Rosenberg, yeah.
They don't judge us by what we look like. And one of the things that I learned through him, and like talk about, is they function on something that I call a love meritocracy.
Mhm.
So they don't
Yeah.
care what we look like, how much money we make, what political party we vote for, what religion we pray to, anything, the color of our skin. They just give us the love based on the love we give them,
Right.
and everything is equal, which is how we should conduct ourselves.
I felt that way when I was raising my son. We had a dog, and I thought of all the lessons that the dog taught me, not not through verbal, not through written, but just through action. And I thought that is the best example. The best way I can teach my son is by kind of pointing out these principles that my dog lived by. And children learn mostly through experience and through what they see, and not what they hear and not what they read. So it was a perfect partner, extra partner for me to raise my child, and pointing out some of the things that our dog did
Mhm.
just naturally. And he's to this day has I actually the little one I had on my lap, he was riding his bike, and said he saw this little dog and looked a little scruffy, and he knocked on the neighbor's door and said, "Is this your dog?" And the neighbor said, "No, but I've been feeding it for 10 days." He surmised at his young age of 13 that, well, if you're feeding it, you're not bringing it in at night. And so, oh, Jill, you're so sweet. So he said, I've got it. I'll take it from here, and drove this little dog home on his bike, I guess. And
Beautiful.
yeah, look at him. And then that brings us to the point, this fabulous dog. He said, look what I got, Mom. Look what I got us. And he was so proud of himself. And you look at this, and this dog was for free. We got this incredible dog who makes us laugh every single day, who wakes up, he's like sunshine in our house every day. It's
Every
always a
day is
party.
Christmas.
Every day's Christmas,
His
Easter,
birthday.
his birthday, the 4th of July wrapped in one, because he wakes up and he is so happy and ready for the day. And that's a great lesson in and of itself, right? Just start from the top. And before we lose him again, because he's got some things he wants to do over here, I just want to point out that we did call each other today. We wind up wearing the same thing because you guys twin, but we twin for real.
This is
And
an homage to
yeah,
you.
and this is we're representing. We're doing the Topher Brophy Rosenberg show, and so we called each other last night, and we're like, we got to rock the Burberry outfit. Shout out to Burberry. If you want to send
Second,
free dog sweaters, we'll take
you
them.
didn't have to call each other because you're twins. You live together also.
Okay, you pointed it out. No, we didn't call each other. We just telepathically thought it, and the other one received it, and so that was how that went down.
No, one of the things that's interesting that I love about your organization so much is that you seek to elevate the role and the status of animals and dogs in our society. And
Yeah.
this is one of the things that I feel like people don't understand, and it needs to be. We have to kind of pound the pavement a little bit.
Mhm.
Our survival as a species is directly related to our relationships with dogs.
Mhm.
We go back 30,000 years. It's scientifically stated and unrefuted that they were our hunting partners.
Mhm.
They were our alarm clocks, our security systems, and we literally evolved with them. Our
Yeah, yeah.
evolution is in reaction to them and theirs to us. Without them, we wouldn't be here
Mhm.
Right.
as the dominant species. And we kind of owe them and our relationship a lot more credit than it's given. Granted, it's known as man's best friend, but there's still so many people in societies that treat them in such a harsh, horrible way. And I love that that's part of your mission statement because it's something that people don't give credit to, and it also speaks to our unique relationship to them now. And what I what I like to say is that we're born with what I call a love generator.
Mhm.
And it's intertwined with our innocence, as I mentioned before. But as we get older, the generator kind of runs out of some batteries through the things we go through. And one of the things that our animals do, and our dogs specifically being so intertwined with us, is they're love batteries that recharge our generators continuously by reminding us to be naturally happy,
Mhm.
to be naturally present, to not judge others,
Yeah.
to be loyal, to keep our word, to keep our integrity,
Forgiveness.
and so many other things that keep us honest and put a mirror to our own behavior.
Mhm.
And this helps us in such unquantifiable ways. They're doing the same thing for us now in modern times, but in an emotional level because our survival isn't in jeopardy. But on that note, it kind of will be. And that's part of what is just so on my mind about the impending environmental problems we're having as a world society. And to be natural and to act naturally as they do with consuming what we need and not having too much, which is kind of how they behave in the natural world, is kind of what we have to go back to. And
Mhm.
it's a really amazing example for us that we need more than ever as humans.
I never thought about that dogs, animals, they don't take more than what they need. They don't. They take what they need for survival, and they don't require anything else, and again, I think it comes back to ego, our egos that separate us or make us different than animals. It's very interesting, Topher, I never thought about that.
There's so many things, and I'm working on something. I think I might have mentioned. Sometimes it's tough to speak because it's tough. I don't want to tell you about how as much as I love them. Mwah. I'm working on a book right now, and part of the book is just telling the kind of backstory that I've gone through. And the book is only to encourage people to benefits of animal companionship as
Mhm,
it's helped me. I want others that are struggling
mhm.
because we all struggle. But some people, if I didn't discover Rosenberg, I wouldn't be functional right now.
Yeah.
But I'm writing the book to really go into the details of how he helped me and why, so other people can understand that. But I think there's more of a philosophy we can learn by basically, people say sometimes be the person your dog thinks you are.
Mhm.
I want to get into how we could be more like them and how it'll help us be better to ourselves, each other, and to the world. Almost
Mhm.
like a philosophy. There's a lot of, you know, cultures, and no culture is obviously perfect, but they revere animals in certain ways. And if we revere them as, philosophically as deities in certain ways, I think we could really make some strides of kind of improving the world society and a lot of the problems we have
Yeah.
right now.
I
Yeah.
can't help but notice the difference, the span of how you're talking about animals and how they can help save the world. And Tina and I say that a lot. They're therapists, they're loves, they're truth, they're all these good things. If we live our lives the way they do, we would have so many fewer problems in the world. So you talk about them in those terms, and then you look at cities like Houston, where we have hundreds of thousands of strays, Topher, on our streets, animals that don't have homes, who are out there every day suffering and struggling just to get food, just to get water, just not to get hit by a car. And so as a society in living in Texas, living in Houston, we have to we have so far to go. You know, they're considered a nuisance in some parts of our town because they are so plentiful that they're almost like they're considered, you know, like you get too many cockroaches or too many of this or that. So you
So
have to start
awful.
exterminating them. They're almost considered that right now. You can be in a neighborhood and watch people drive by stray after stray after stray. And it's like they're not squirrels. Those are dogs. They belong in homes. They belong um, in a place that they get food, water, shelter, love. But we're just driving by them every day because there are so many of them right now that they've become a nuisance and they've become a health
Helping,
and health and
Public
public
safety.
safety. Thank you.
they can be helping people that have obviously, emotional problems,
Right.
PTSD, alcoholism, commitment issues. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Right.
Yeah. Did you see
And that would
they're using them now to detect COVID? There's 100%, I think it's almost a 100% um, success in treating COVID. They're sniffing out COVID before people are showing signs. It's better than the PCR test they're using, you know, which God only
which
knows.
which takes 4 or 5 days, right?
Yeah.
Still, right.
Well, and you look at prison programs too, you know, where animals go in and the prisoners are training dogs, but in return, they're becoming more human and humane by
Mhm.
working with animals. And those are really successful programs all over the country, which we need to expand on because it's a way for us to become a better society. And backing up quite a bit, I'm so glad that you recognized, Topher, that we want to elevate the status of animals in our society. When we were working on our mission, we just kept drilling down and drilling down. And yes, it's to save animals, and yes, it's to be treat them more humanely. But ultimately, when you elevate the status of animals and all those problems go away. You know, everything that you need to do just falls into place once people recognize their worth and their value.
Because it basically extracts the humanity out of us. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
before, as I mentioned, when someone's not looking happy and they're rude, and there's a good person in everybody.
Yeah.
There really is. They're sometimes it's buried by some layers. I know that myself, given kind of what I've been through and how I was before, I became a dog dad. And
Mhm.
everybody want to go down? I'm going to put him down for 1 second.
Bye,
Okay, buddy.
Rosenberg. Thank you.
So we sometimes we need help extracting that, and they're the extractors that can do that. It's like the power of what they can do for us. We've only scratched the surface of it in modern times, and I think companies like yours and what I'm trying to do in writing the book can really hopefully unlock that to a large group of people. And I think about it sometimes that it's the thing that we can all agree on and rally around. There's so many divisive things that human beings, especially it seems like more now than ever, can disagree on and use to have a conflict.
Mhm.
But this is a uniter for people on
Yeah.
all political sides, on all different cultures and philosophies and creeds and religions. And that's something that, we've aimed to do through our social media presence. And that's kind of why we do it, is because we just need to be united around, to us, the most important thing that can bring people together and distract their humanity. It's really the great unifier.
Mhm.
It is. It
We
is.
need that more than
The
ever.
convener. It's the convener of all of us.
Correct.
When you
And
get your book done, can we host a book signing for you?
oh, I would love that so much.
Will
Yeah,
you
I'm
come
I
about.
to
was thinking the
Houston?
same
Will you
thing.
come to Houston to bring
If
Rosenberg?
if I'm allowed to, with my, because I know we have 2 dogs and 2 small kids. So if I'm allowed
Come
to,
on down.
logistically, if I could pull it off, I would absolutely love to be there, more than anything. And I'll keep you informed on how the progress goes. I like talking about the book too because it puts pressure on me to
To get
to
it done.
Do you have a title for the book yet? And if you do, are you sharing it or is it still under
I
wraps?
just locked one, but I might get in trouble if I
Don't say
it.
it. Okay, then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My publisher, but I'll tell you 2 offline.
Okay.
Did your stylist slash wife know that we're Swedish, of Swedish extract? Because when you sat up a little bit, it looked like you had a little bit of that Swedish little uniform on. You know those I don't know. I just have visions of when I was young and people wearing the clogs and dancing, and it just
I
got a
was
little.
thinking it was Gucci.
Oh yeah, well it could be Gucci and still be Swedish.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah.
true.
I'm sure it's Swedish inspired. So are you two first or second generation
Third
Americans?
generation.
Third,
Third.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Okay.
on our mom's side, on our dad's side, we're many, quite a few generations, but yeah, third generation on our mom's side.
I mean, again, I'd love to come to Houston just to do a photo session with everybody.
Oh,
We
wouldn't
could
that
come
be
to New
fun?
York too, but we really need you here because we need to talk about your philosophy about animals and then where Houston is at and how we treat our animals and show what a wide range that is and
The
try to bring those
disparity.
the
Yeah.
disparity and bring those closer together. We're not going to bring you down. We're going to bring Houston up and we
I
need
love
you here. So
I mean, let's think about this for a second. I mean, just because we're Americans, and there's such divisiveness that is continuing to spiral out of control, and obviously some people thrive on that, which is the issue, and our media cycle is related to that, unfortunately, as
absolutely.
well.
Yep.
But think about two people that really just disagree. Whatever side they're on, they hate each other. They dig deeper in their bunker, which is what people do. Think about it: if each one of those people had a puppy
Mhm.
Mhm.
in their laps and was petting them and
Yeah.
taking care of them. Think about how much harder it would be for each person to disparage the other person.
Mhm.
And the humanity was being extracted at that moment by showing the empathy of and kindness of this beautiful animal
Yeah.
that has this innocence. It's a lot harder for people to fight that way
Well, we
Right.
and to
need
be with each
yeah,
other.
we need to add dogs or cats or any little pet to the peace talks then.
Mhm.
Put them in the room and see what happens.
You know, that's exactly
Or
what I would.
debates. What about debates on stage?
I'm nothing. It seems like a crazy idea, but it's exactly
Not
what
half
is needed,
serious.
what would work.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, we should try
You
it.
know?
As you said, it is the great unifier, and we see that in our city. Since we have 70 plus partners that we work with that help rescue animals, they transport, they do spay neuter, but so many of them are different. Their philosophies are different. They might be from different parts of town. They have different ethnicities. They're very different. But then when we do our gifting event, we invite all of them to one event and we announce that the work that they're doing for the city and we bring them all together and it's the best event. Even though we do a big soiree, we always say that our gifting event is our favorite event because everybody's together because they love and care for Houston animals. And you bring them into one room, and as you said earlier, it equalizes everybody because the mission is the same and the desire is the same.
And they
This is
really
what
cheer for each
They
other.
do.
They
That's
might be
it.
fighting on Facebook, but the
Mhm.
night of, they all clap for each other. They
Yeah.
all
Well,
clap
that's
for each
something
other.
that we've
Yeah.
encouraged is, yeah, we need to work together. The resources aren't limited. This isn't a zero-sum game. This is, if you believe in a higher power, the resources are unlimited. We just have to continue to attract it.
this is what can save us, which is a very lofty statement, but I truly believe that it can save us, and we need saving.
Yeah.
Mhm. From
You know,
ourselves.
there's so much destruction and animosity, and you know, we're just all so connected now through our digital media, and I think that there's a responsibility that we all have if we're using.
Mhm. I like that you said responsibility because it's our responsibility. We domesticated these animals. We learned so much from them. I think we learned more from them than they've ever learned from us, but we domesticated them. And so it's our responsibility to care for them now, and certainly not to leave them on the streets, to be used as bait dogs, to be hit by cars and suffer
Shot
and
at.
shot at, and we have to do better by them. It's one you're always going to have some issues intrinsically in when you run a city or run a society, but this is one that's solvable. We don't have to have this, and we really measure our civility, I guess, based on how we treat animals. So Houston has a long way to go, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We're finally at the table at conversations where stakeholders are saying, yeah, this matters. This matters because maybe they care about animals or maybe they care about economic development. It doesn't matter which motivator you have. We have to do something at Houston.
I mean, on a political scale, it should be a very big, where do you stand on animal welfare?
Yeah,
It should be up there with what people really care about.
right.
Because it's a litmus test for so many other things about how they view everything. And when you have a politician or anybody that just flat out doesn't like animals, there's still something good in there, but I don't think I could find it in these people. I know it's buried because no one actually really feels that way, but that's one of those things that really would scare me about a human being, I have to say.
Mhm.
It's just buried really deep
Yeah.
if they say that outwardly.
And
Because I don't think they really mean it. You can't
I
mean it.
I
Yeah.
agree with you. I don't think they really mean it either. I think they're either uneducated or I'm not don't say this in a judgmental way, but they're flawed or they had something happen to them where they shut down that part of them that can love the way that an animal can teach you to love.
And Topher, I'm glad you brought that up about the political
Yeah.
system because a couple of years ago in the elections, we started out just by having as many elected officials as possible complete a survey on how they felt about animals and what their intent was to help solve this problem, this crisis that we have in Houston. And then in the last elections, we actually had uh, what, uh, uh, forum where we asked them questions and asked them how do they care about animals and what are their intentions for solving this. And so it's now a part of the platforms of elected officials in Houston. We had to put it there, but at least it's there. And so we're excited about that. And even the new mayoral candidates that are coming up in 2023 are already talking about animal welfare and the crisis in Houston. They're coming to us. So it didn't take long to get there. Just like the other things that need to be done, it's not going to take long to get there. We just have to keep talking about it.
And I'm looking
That's,
at the time.
that's an achievement. That's a huge step in the right direction. I think I just want to kind of continue something I mentioned earlier when we first started talking. Innocence. It's obviously what our animals have because they don't have the rational thoughts that conflict with their instincts like we do.
Mhm.
I think as humans, we're always trying to go back to that place.
Mhm.
We're always trying to revisit that place. I see it in obviously small humans as parents understand that too. We want to go back and not to make this kind of theological, but metaphorically, we'll call that back in the garden.
Mhm.
They're always in the garden.
Mhm.
And by being around them, we're able to touch back in that place where whence we came. We can't live there anymore where they are, but we can be associated with it and we can remind ourselves that it's in us through them. And that's part of the reason why we're so attracted to them
Yeah.
and why they light us up so much is because we're able to go back there and we all have it, but we lose it once we can kind of do things as kids premeditatedly,
Mhm.
where we could figure out we can do this and it's good or it's bad. We kind of lose that, but it's the innocence. We always
Mhm.
want to go back there and
So right.
just staring at your puppies on
Aren't
screen
they
right
so
now.
cute? I know, I just love them. Well, we're gonna wrap up here. We could talk all day as usual, but I want to just go back to what Eckhart Tolle said is that they are connected to source, so they are sometimes our connection to source, and it just you can feel that when you're around them and when you hold them and when you look at them and when they do their funny things and make you laugh. So um, Thank you, Topher, for all of your wisdom about animals, for having already elevated the status of them in your world and in your culture and in your books and your podcasts and your YouTube videos and all
Your
the
Instagram.
your Instagram. And yeah, please follow Topher and all the interviews you do too. You are elevating the status of animals, which is what we're trying to do. And if, as Tina said, if we do that, then all of the issues, all of the problems go away. So thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Tell
Thank
Rosenberg that we send our gratitude for his time and
I will.
his showing up.
Topher, what is your Instagram so people can follow you? Because it's just a
Sure.
joy.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. It's just at TOPHERBROPHY.
Perfect. It makes me smile. It's such an easy smile every day. So it should be a part of everybody's morning meditation, just looking at you and your sweet Rosenberg. And thank you, as Tama said, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It's a blessing to know you. It's a gift to know you, Topher.
Feeling couldn't be more mutual. You two and your organization are working to help humanity, and I greatly appreciate the interest and everything that you do. It's a pleasure to know you and to stay in touch with you.
Great. Thank you.
We'll talk soon and we'll wait for the date for the book signing. You just let us know.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
We could send we could send the transport bus for all of you. Your whole crew can come down.
I love it all because it's going to make me write harder tonight.
Good.
Okay.
Okay. Take care. Blessings.
Bye.
Bye bye. Take care.